I'm Jake.
I'm Joe.
What are we talking about?
What were we talking about?
Shit.
We're talking about Indiana Comic
What are
Con.
you talking about? Yeah. So we had a malfunction and
Yeah.
we're restarting.
So basically, so we're just gonna kind of
Move along.
move along. Basically, we're talking about Indiana Comic Con. I went this year, which is part of the reason why we haven't recorded in a couple weeks. Joey, I was sick a couple weeks ago. Then Joey was busy this week, which we were gonna spend the entire episode just talking about Indiana Comic Con. But I sent out the Joseph signal, and he ran on over after Misty gave her okay.
Yeah. I go. Can I come go play with my friends?
I guess I sent out the Misty signal.
Yeah. You. Misty.
Misty, can your husband come out to play today?
Yeah.
But yeah, so you're saying you went to try to go to Indiana Comic Con last year?
Not last year. It was
The first year,
time.
yeah.
It was what?
Actually,
3 years ago.
like 3 years ago.
Yeah. Raylan and I dressed up. We went to go. They were out of tickets. They had not anticipated as many people coming to the convention center here in Indianapolis, and not necessarily here. We're in Shelbyville.
What? Yeah.
Close enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was nobody there, or there's too many people there for what they had available.
Which is weird. I get. Well, no, they're holding the convention center. I imagine they would have just been like, here, let's just fill it to capacity.
And I kind of went into Gen Con. I've been to that quite a few times, and they said it's advertised as a board game scene for video game, card games, and like Dungeons and Dragons type of thing, and they have competitions and whatnot. But it's the biggest convention of that in the globe, so it's a pretty big.
It's kind of more become like a fantasy.
It's gone into a fantasy, but it's got a lot of artists that do the cards designs, also a lot of DeviantArt artists, and just people kind of selling their wares. A lot of actual anime areas and booths and stuff like that. A lot of cosplay clothing designers and things like that. So it's got a lot of things that are still pretty interesting to see, even if you're not
Super into it.
of D&D or like Pokemon card, Yu-Gi-Oh, things of that nature.
I always get asked, like, did you ever play Pokemon? I'm like, I never played. I collected the cards. I never played that shit because I never quite understood the rules or how to play or anything like that. It was to me as a kid, like, it would seem too overly complicated.
It's the completionist that they've built all of us into, to where we buy one season and we need all the seasons because we have to collect them all, or else we feel incomplete and we hate ourselves.
Fucking hashtag thank you, Pokemon.
Yeah, no, they've destroyed our generation, and yet enriched it.
I am planning on going to Indie PopCon this year because Johnny Young Bosch is going to be there. He played Adam on the Power Rangers, the second Black Ranger.
Yeah, you got me lost, man.
Well, he talked on I guess in a lot of animes. I think he did Bleach.
He might have. He's not one that's I'm familiar with.
Right? Yeah. No.
Yeah.
And so is Alpha 5. Yeah. The guy that talked for Alpha 5 is going to be there.
The initial original series up to Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Zeo?
No, the original movie.
Oh.
That was pretty much where I left off with Power Rangers at a younger age.
That was, I was watching some, I can't remember what review it was. I think it was like the Nostalgia Critic or something like that. Of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie. I guess you might not know this, but was Zach the original Black Ranger? Was he still the Black Ranger when the movie came out?
I believe so.
Because in the movie it was Adam. And that's what they said. They said that people wouldn't, unless you watch the show
consistently.
Or no, they said even if you watch the show, because it was a different continuity, you would be confused as to who that person was. I was like, so wait, was he or what? I can't go back in time and remember. I guess I can just look it up on Google.
Yeah, no, that's not how that worked out. Yeah, I don't remember a ton of that.
Because I think they made it to like the second season. That's when they switched over to new people.
New people.
I did meet the original Red Ranger though.
Yeah, I know. I saw that recently.
That shit was pretty fucking cool.
Comic-Con.
I heard. And I've always heard some pretty shitty stories about that guy. Like he's an asshole. Yeah. No, he didn't really come off as an asshole. Really, I mean, I wouldn't say bitter. I know he doesn't like Jason David Frank, the Green Ranger, at fucking all. He made that pretty abundantly clear during his Q&A. But he was pretty cool. I like whenever I got up there, I told him I was like, I think it's pretty cool you do this because not a lot of child actors would look back at the original shows they were on or movies they were in, but oh god, I did that. But like him and Jason David Frank and all of them are now doing a lot of conventions to meet all their fans, which I think is really fucking cool.
Yeah, which I mean, even if it's even if you just go back to look at like some '90s films of mainstay actors now, some of them are just the films aren't great.
No,
especially
no.
early.
Well, like Jennifer
early
Aniston
things.
was in Leprechaun,
and I'm sure a lot of them look at that as not being their best work. But if it gets a fan base and gets you kind of some more work that you can be more proud of, and you can use that as a base to kind of
it's cool that they
yourself.
They don't really forget their fans and shit like that. That's pretty cool. And also, I do think it has a lot to do with a new movie that came out.
Yeah, I'm sure. It helps boost the interest. In the property.
Which is I don't give a shit because now I'm going to be able to. Not all of them because one of them's dead.
Don't forget their fans or possibly their the income.
The income that's going to be coming from it.
That can be available.
Yeah.
Don't forget the income that can come from.
So if Joseph actually sent me a link the other day.
A new Ray theory.
Of
parentage.
Star Wars is the new trilogy has been filled with all kinds of different theories as to like who Snoke is, who Rey's parents are, what the fuck's up with Luke, and all kinds of shit.
All kinds of goodies.
All kinds of fun. This one it pertains to her parents.
Yeah, and I've really delved into all the expanded universe, even though a lot of it's not considered canon until it's technically proven otherwise.
But they did recently throw in the Mandalorian Wars, which actually includes quite a bit of the extended universe.
Yeah, I said it's canon until proven otherwise. Is really how they've kind of looked at it. So, but a couple coworkers and I have just been nonstop on Wikipedia for like weeks on end. It's been horrible. That's informative and also just minor. Like Palpatine's page alone is literally like might as well read a 300-page book.
Exactly. They should do a movie on Palpatine.
That would be interesting.
I'd be so into that.
Watching or just reading the expanded universe ideas, it really there's a lot to because even watching the films, you understand when watching the prequels. Okay, I know that his technical name is Sheev Palpatine. Palpatine is
what a fantastic name.
But he just goes by Palpatine. You understand that he is the Dark Lord, Darth Sidious, but it doesn't really come across as obvious, I guess, how well he's playing both sides. And like you don't see him put on his Palpatine outfit, then turn to the other screen and then play the other side and see how he's really working both those sides to get where he wants to be. And how far it actually explains like how much power, because they constantly refer to him as this high-powered being, but they don't really show it as much as some of the expanded universe.
You're just kind of supposed to...
Yeah, taking it for granted. But I mean... in his final death, because he has clones of himself that he could transfer his mind to.
Which again, I'm not sure how canon that one is.
Yeah. I wouldn't. I'm just saying within the expanded universe, that's.
Because I don't think they've even. I'm sure.
And
they
Luke
haven't.
even goes to stay with him as a new prospect, as a way to get close to him, and learns a lot of the Sith techniques and ideas to get strong enough to actually be able to defeat him again and destroy some new ideas. But what's kind of cool is it talks about in order for him, he never becomes the full incarnate of the dark side of the Force, and he's strong enough to where when he gets killed, a fellow Jedi Knight dies around the same time and uses his spirit to pull Palpatine's spirit into the light side of the Force, and it takes every single deceased Jedi Knight to keep Palpatine imprisoned there. So that's
pretty
scale-wise how strong he supposedly is. One of his techniques is said to be able to use Force lightning to destroy a whole planet's life force of the people on the planet. So I mean, and like teleport.
So we really only got like a hint.
Yeah, you get some him torturing a little bit of some people,
but that's
with some Force lightning. But that's about as far as it goes.
Yeah, that's kind of.
So
really only get it twice. Because Mace Windu. He hits with the lightning, and then
Vader / Luke in that final scene. Same way with Vader, which is really interesting. Some of his lead up, because we kind of take him in New Hope and things as being unquestioning to Palpatine, really, until he meets Luke and doesn't want Luke to die because it's his son. He has feelings for it in Return of the Jedi. But in the expanded universe, he's constantly testing and, in a lot of ways, trying to kill Palpatine. Which
I think is so fucking fun. Like,
not
it's
full force, but the initial Sith setup was there's a master and then a Padawan setup, an apprentice. And the apprentice is supposed to kill the master, take over with his own apprentice, and that's how it's been seceded for years. But Sidious's...
Which is an efficient system.
Yeah, Sidious's teacher, Plagueis, did not want to continue that system and thought him and Palpatine would work for ever together as, co-Sith Lords until Palpatine finished what he needed him for and killed him.
Yeah.
And Plagueis tried to take over Palpatine's body, but realized that he would be destroyed by Vader and left and fled from his form. So yeah, there's a lot of really interesting stuff that goes on with even Palpatine becoming evil in the first place, killing his family when he's younger.
See, that's if they made a movie of that, it'd be cool. And also, we could have Plagueis.
Yeah.
Break the fourth wall and look at the camera and say, I'm not fucking Snoke.
yeah, that could be good too. Not me. Stop it.
Completely different person. Which, with the new description of Snoke from the new movie, it's sounding more and more just like a new character.
Yeah, I mean, and that's.
And I am happy with that.
What's interesting?
I mean, as much as I would love him to be Mace Windu, but
yeah. That's one of the ones that I find really, really interesting that I would really like, because Mace Windu also, canon-wise, is one of the few others that have used both the light side and the dark side, and was able to do it without being corrupted.
Yeah.
So he initially had some issues with Anakin because he felt he was the chosen one because of him being able to use a form of
he thought he could do literal and literally the balance of the Force.
Yeah, he that's why his lightsaber was supposedly purple, because it was both the red of the Sith and the blue of the Jedi. And his fighting form, he was the only one who could do that, and he could look at someone and find weak spots throughout their system to be able to exploit.
So any chance talents. We could get to have him back in the movies?
He Samuel Jackson would love to. I'd love, and then it might come to where, since they're doing a Han Solo story, they're talking about doing a Obi-Wan. Maybe they'll come back to a Mace Windu
after Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah. And
I would really, honestly, I'd only rather see that if Snoke does turn out for whatever reason to be a Windu. I'd rather see a Windu movie sees him leading up to becoming Snoke.
Yeah. That could be interesting.
But they bring up like that Snoke is like he's seen the rise and the fall of the Empire, so he's got to be a character that we've seen before or heard of before.
Not necessarily, because in the new End of the Empire, or Empire's End is what it's called, the new book. It talks a lot about, there was a thing with Palpatine where he was trying to reach the outskirts of the universe there and see what was outside of it. Because he felt a presence of evil that was beaconing to him. And it doesn't really go to that in the original expanded universe. It talks about him trying to explore that, and he uses that as a way to kill off some Jedi in the process, because he gets the Republic to fund a ship to go through that, but most of them get destroyed via the planets and magnetism and problems that are in solar problems.
Right. Yeah.
Technical jargon of astronomy in place here. And he coerced them that several Jedi might be able to use the Force to help bring the ship through that to explore the further reaches. And Anakin and Obi-Wan were initially supposed to we're going to get on that thing, and he stopped them from getting it because he still wanted Anakin, and then it ends up blowing up. But so it talks a little bit about him wanting to reach out there some way or another. But yeah, the Empire's End talks about him feeling some beacon that he feels is actually a source of the dark side of the Force, which kind of ties also into the Clone Wars animated series.
Yeah.
There's an episode in which Anakin, Obi-Wan land on a planet that has a father figure, daughter, and son who are incarnations of the Force. The father is a balance, the daughter was the light side, the son the dark side, and they each entitled that Anakin is the chosen one, and they're kind of trying to coerce him in different ways. The father trying to have him take over his spot as the source of the balance and to stay there on that planet and keep his children in line. The dark side ends up affecting Anakin, and then the father wipes his memory of the whole event because his son showed him his entire future of becoming
Darth
Vader and everything.
It's fucked up.
So there's some canon if they do include that, which I've heard talks that the Clone Wars is canon, but I know the Rebels is.
Yeah.
But
yeah, because once Disney took over Lucasfilm, Clone Wars ended. Like they stopped making it, and then they started making Rebels. So I'm not sure if they're just kind of trying to, dust it under the rug. And
I don't know if they're doing that or if they just didn't want to keep in production something that might skew their future writings of what they want to do.
Plus, the way I understand, Clone Wars got really kind of convoluted. As far as like what was going on with like Darth Maul and with
apparently it's not too much canon one episode to the other either. It just kind of jumps around in events
like an old school cartoon almost, like where it's just just shit happens.
Shit happens. We're figuring it out as it goes. But the initial Rey's
theory. I was gonna say it's
going off to another thing. Rey's parentage. They're talking an idea of the person that initially brought up the Pixar theory that they all were connected in the universe, which later on was confirmed by Pixar. He thinks he has figured it out. Can we go into it?
Basically, it's just saying that with the lightsaber, whenever Rey touches it, the one thing that everything has in common, because the voices you hear and then the visions you see, Luke's lightsaber is connected to it, and each of the voices you hear are pulled from scenes in the movies.
It's a very consistent theme throughout that.
Which it was always there. That lightsaber was always there during very important parts of the saga. Yeah. So they're saying that
the original issue that Kylo Ren has with Luke and why he kills off his younglings and destroys his newfound setup was that he was being trained by Luke, as we know from the text. So he was expecting to be Luke's heir. Luke was not believing he was ready for it and ended up giving it to his lightsaber, which was Anakin's, who we know that Kylo Ren has a lot of respect for his grandfather, Darth Vader, and wants to be him in many ways. And so Anakin's lightsaber was given to another of Luke's students, and they believe that was what why Kylo Ren switched over and moved over to Snoke's side,
or fully embraced it, because they said he was already in
rebellion towards Luke giving this title of heir to someone else. And they believe that those heirs are the ones that are seen during the Knights of Ren scene that are killed, and that is actually Rey's parents. And now Rey has Luke's lightsaber, or Anakin's lightsaber.
Yeah.
So she would still, in a way, be having something that was showing her as the heir to Luke.
Which would have technically been true if one of her parents had become the heir to Luke. It's a really solid. I mean, get online and find it. It's in detail. It's really well thought out. The only problem I saw with it is that they don't explain how, unless I missed it, the lightsaber went from, because they said that Kylo had it at one point, and then Maz Kanata has it. And they kind of he kind of brushes over.
I don't know where he says where Kylo has it.
In the scene, in the rain scene, whenever he's slaughtered all the other Jedi, they says it looks like he has it in his hand.
Well, he might have. Maybe he pulls it from those Jedi, attacks everyone, kills them, and then it gets brought back by
right. Yeah, that's the only hole in the theory, though, is that he doesn't explain that.
Implied, the way I got it, that he drops off Rey at Jakku, and then also his lightsaber when he goes to
Maz.
He drops off at Maz Kanata's and then goes to the first Jedi temple to do his meditations
and look at find the journal of the wills.
Which I really the thing that I really like about this that I thought was prominent was the fact that it does set up this issue between Rey and Kylo as its own story, which is one of the things he implied was that a story, you know, especially with new people that might be currently introduced that haven't watched the previous 6 films, this needs to be somewhat contained within itself.
Yeah.
No matter how much backstory there actually is. Yeah. And that really sets up a competition between Kylo Ren and Rey that we can see develop over the 3 films in itself and its own story.
And then you get interest from people who watch this as a self-contained story, who are like, well, what happened before this? And they go back and watch it. Yeah. So it does have to be self-contained. A lot of people aren't really quite remembering that you have to assume nobody's seen the other ones. You have to kind of explain what happened to an extent. Yeah. And there's also a bit of like especially in Force Awakens where there's a lot of assuming that people have seen it, so there's not really a need to explain anything. But this theory, honestly, probably the strongest theory.
Well, one of the few that I really looked into. But the one thing that I kind of find, which he says that Kylo Ren recognizes the lightsaber as Anakin's, and that's you see it in his face when you see it. But the one thing that I don't see that Kylo Ren is really that much older than Rey for him to be. Which I mean, he could have been a youngling to a certain. But do you said we see? I don't know that I've seen the scene in which he's actually killed anyone, or the younglings originally.
No, we don't see. We see him. It's in the force back is what they call it. Whenever it's pouring down rain, that's where they're assuming that's what that is, but they don't actually see it yet.
Okay, because I was gonna say if he is a youngling enough in and of himself, but strong enough to actually kill off someone who is maybe 30s, or Rey's been around for a little bit, since we know too she exhibits a really quick understanding of how to use her force powers.
Right.
So I would like to think that she has some sort of training there, or else it's kind of void and moot as to why they need training in the first place. It could also be that
she doesn't have any training and she's just that strong with the Force. Yeah. But again, you're right. It's a really quick understanding.
Yeah, it's kind of a moot because even Luke and Anakin, Anakin supposedly is even stronger than Yoda, the highest they've ever even seen. He needed training to really learn how to use those. He was able to use them in pod racing to a certain extent, things like that.
Because some of it just comes naturally. For her to be able to
do mind tricks and mind control that quickly, it's kind of seems a not sure, but yeah,
kind of far fetched. Yeah, even for a Star Wars movie, it's far fetched.
So I would like to think she has some training there, so she could have been
even just a little bit.
And then him, her 6 years old and him 13 or something, and I could see that.
I can see that age difference, but like I can also see where even if she's 6. And she just saw her parents being trained.
Yeah, she might
like just something like that.
Yeah, but that just didn't seem as far removed as him being already an adult and her being born after the fact of this situation happening.
That is a little bit of it but Star Wars also kind of toys with ages quite a bit, so we don't know exactly how it's going to turn out. Although this seems like the most plausible. There's also a really cool bit of it where he talks about Han Solo doesn't initially recognize her, but does later on.
And Leia also. They are able to look at her why she would hug him. Or hug her. I don't know why I said him. Hug her as well as that.
Don't you dare call Rey a man.
Yeah. As why they would maybe not initially understand who she was, but after seeing some of the things she can do, they realize who she might be.
Exactly.
And
which I think is really cool, because if you watch the movie again, because I did after I watched the theory, I watched the movie again. There's a lot of where you see Han doesn't initially. This is especially true with Han. He doesn't initially know who she is, but as you watch, he seems to start to realize. Or at least almost like he knows her, he recognizes her,
or at least recognize something inside her that he wants to befriend, and like he offers the job, come stay with me and help me out with the ship, and join me on this.
So, which has led to a lot of people who thought, well, maybe that she was there, maybe that she's one of the twins.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, wouldn't they have mentioned that? Like, why wouldn't they have mentioned that? That seems weird to me.
Yeah. We had another kid that we left here, but that can't be you.
We're only talking about Ben. That's it.
And his story arc. Which another thing from that reading Kylo Ren's story since I've been delving into all this, which I thought was kind of interesting, is the fact that Ben did not know that Anakin was Darth Vader for a long time. It didn't come out until later, and it was one of the reasons why he was hurt also, was because Leia takes over a role in the government system, the Republic, and she tries to have somebody else take her place when she joins the Alliance again, because the Republic is not wanting to work together to actually stop the New Order, because they're in the far reaches and they don't think it's going to be a problem. So she leaves that to command the Alliance and leaves a new person in her place, and that person, in order to distance herself from Leia and also make her kind of look bad so that she can, rule with full authority,
with like an iron fist, almost
lets everyone know that Darth Vader was her father.
So he found out like secondhand.
So he found secondhand when it was televised to everyone, or hologram to everyone, and that really upset him too, because he wasn't aware of any of this,
right?
And that was one of the reasons
he wasn't aware of his own lineage. And
he so he felt wronged by that, and he was also realized that they were worried about him. And that's why he was sent to Luke in the first place, because they saw Anakin's mannerisms in him.
Yeah. I do think, like I said, this is the most sound theory that I've heard. And the guy does have a track record of being correct.
Yeah.
He pulls gold out of fucking nothing. Like, in no world would you imagine that the Pixar universe is a universe. You wouldn't think it's connected. But this dude just like, it's right there. And there's that, and there's that, and there's that. I'm like, motherfucker,
I watched this movie for 5 days straight, over and over.
I don't like a Pixar movie to watch it that much to notice all that shit. And trust me, I love me some Pixar movies. One last thing. Well, I fucking forgot what I was gonna say. No, I remember now. Because the rumor, I guess, it's the opinion of J.J. Abrams, who says that Luke Skywalker, might as well call him fucking Joker, Mark Hamill will get nominated for an Oscar for this movie.
Well, he claimed that his initial dialogue when the movie starts was Oscar worthy, is what I heard.
Is that what it was? See, I heard
he was saying it was an Oscar worthy performance he does in that speech, and that dialogue was just one of the best performances he thought he'd seen. Which Mark Hamill, he's a solid actor in a lot of ways, but he's not. I don't know that we've ever seen a full-on really good drama version of that he's ever portrayed.
No, because
except for maybe in his voice acting.
Yeah, his voice acting for sure, but like in the original trilogy, like it sounds awful to say, but like there was no need for him to be a great actor.
Yeah,
he just had to be Luke Skywalker. Like I don't know how else to explain it. You know what I mean?
But, I mean, in that initial time too. I mean, a lot of people necessarily. There was a lot of good actors. I mean, but it was an action story, which we've seen by many action stars. Not necessarily the best setup. Exactly. Which there's some drama in there, but it's done in a overloaded way. I mean, the way it's a Star Wars, it's an epic. You can go and it's fine whether or not
Although
I do,
oh god.
So I mean,
I will say that I think Force Awakens had the best performances.
Yeah. Rogue One is definitely up there.
It did have some good performances, but I think Force Awakens, like Rey does incredible, Daisy Ridley is her name. I keep forgetting to call her that.
What always throws me off, I try to call her Ridley, and then I'm like, aliens. No,
yeah.
Rey. I keep forgetting. Initially, when I first watched it, I kept mixing up Ridley and Rey as which one was the actual name.
And then Harrison Ford, he gives a really great performance as Han Solo. Like, he really does.
And even high out of his mind.
Yeah, clearly.
Well, no, I don't know. I'm sure you've heard that.
But he's a pothead.
That he constantly is smoking.
Yeah.
On stage. So I'm sure he was.
Have you ever seen when he presented an award at the Oscars and he clearly didn't want to be there.
Out of his mind.
Yeah, he's like.
There's a compilation of him being when he shows up to interviews not high and when he is high, and it's just very obvious. It's pretty great.
But I was gonna say, wouldn't it be fucking cool if like next year we get Patrick Stewart nominated for an Oscar for Logan, and then we get Mark Hamill nominated for an Oscar? Like, I'd be like, my geek mind exploded.
He's still my heart. I would love to see Patrick Stewart get that, because
he totally deserves it.
His performance in Logan is.
I just watched that movie again too. Like, oh my god,
it's wonderful. I mean, I've been with older, frail people that are proud, that have that kind of, and he he hit it so hard to where it was emotional to me to see him like that.
And it was like, that's what Michelle, she watched it with me, right? And she was like, she hates the X-Men movies. Yeah. Hates the X-Men movies. And she makes that very clear when I made her watch it. But she said, it wasn't a bad movie. She said, and especially if you are a huge fan of the X-Men movies, or particularly Wolverine, she says this would be a very emotional movie. I'm like, yes, it fucking was, because she's teasing me because like I tear up every single time. Or I tear up, I fucking cry like a bitch when I watch that movie. It was rough.
But yeah, I mean, and then too, even though sometimes we don't take this into account with acting, but the fact that he, at his later age, he said he lost like 30, 40 pounds to look frail, maybe even a little bit more. I want to say 50, but it might be pushing it because he was already a lean guy.
Yeah, he's pretty lean fella.
But he said he lost quite a bit of weight to look more frail and more sagged in his skin, and said he felt very sure in Hugh Jackman's arms. But yeah, so I mean that at later years to lose that kind of weight or to do something like that. That's
he went through a lot for that role.
Difficult to do, and yeah, he definitely made that movie for me for sure.
And just one particular scene, like the entire movie is just like it's almost heart wrenching the entire time. But like when they're leaving that casino, and he's just like, "I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry." I was like, "It's okay, it's all right, Professor."
Yeah. That or just his joy in seeing X-23 and like talking to her about a film that he watched when he was young and things
Jesus.
like that was just,
or the family dinner with that
family dinner.
Good God,
a lot of scenes where he
shined.
Yeah.
Like,
did you take your pills? Nah, just stick out his tongue. I mean,
it's
it was just wonderful.
What was it? It was like, okay, like if you go back and watch Dark Knight, if you were to watch that movie without Heath Ledger, it wouldn't fucking stand up. I feel honestly,
it'd be The Dark Knight Rises.
I do feel that Logan would still be wonderful, regardless. But without Patrick Stewart, it wouldn't be the same.
What it was.
It would not be even close.
And I mean,
he totally deserves at least supporting actor.
Obviously did a good job.
Yeah. But at least a nod, dude. Even if he doesn't win, even though as of right now I feel he should win everything in the world. But even if he doesn't, at least be nominated.
It would be good to see that because
Hugh Jackman too. Fuck it, just give Hugh Jackman that
just
too.
Give Hugh Jackman
at least again a nomination.
17 years. They should have a new superhero
lifetime achievement award.
And that these guys not only do they do a physical movie, they're under such a big spotlight for these films, and
guys who ruined a role for any future actor.
And they have to sign away their life for so many years. I mean, that's one of the things Brad Pitt, when they asked him, "Hey, were you attached to Deadpool 2? Are you going to be doing that?" And he's like, "I am not signing myself to that many movies." And I mean, so for them to really do that, even though it's a consistent paycheck and it's going to be a big paycheck, it's still there's a lot.
There's some wariness, like even Chris Evans, who said he's done.
Yeah,
he's even last couple of years when they were filming, not Civil War, but the Winter Soldier.
Yeah,
he was tired. He's like, this will probably be it for me once his contract's up.
So I mean, for doing it 17 years and doing a consistent good performance in all those films, there should definitely be like, first dealing with this role for over a decade, you get an award, sir. I wonder how many people wanted to kill Jerry Seinfeld after this situation.
What?
He was the one that Hugh Jackman said talked him definitely into not taking on any other roles as Wolverine. Was that he talked to Jerry Seinfeld?
Fuck Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah, I know. And he said that was he talked to Seinfeld, and he was kind of convinced him that he for sure didn't need to be doing anymore.
Well, for one, especially after Logan, no, he doesn't.
No.
But two, he is getting up there, and he's given it's like Dark Knight Rises. I mean, he's given everything to us.
He has every right to quit it, but
fuck Jerry Seinfeld, that dick.
That's what I was waiting. I was like, how many people just were like, "What the fuck, Jerry? Like, how could you do this to us?"
He's got geekdom pissed off out of now.
I know. Armies in yellow leotards.
Even
coming
the
to
people
your door.
who are like, he's too tall to be Wolverine. They're like, fuck Jerry Seinfeld.
Since we're speaking on it. What do you think of his who Hugh Jackman suggested as his replacement?
As I've never seen him do anything, I don't know. But honestly, I've heard good things about the dude.
Yeah, I mean,
I read good things about him.
It's interesting because one, he's Indian.
Yeah,
which is different, a different take on it. Which I mean, that doesn't really matter.
No,
but and especially with comic books, and there's whatever universe you want.
Yeah,
to be.
It doesn't have to be.
But I saw pictures of him. He's very physically fit.
Yeah.
He does look intimidating.
He does very intimidating.
The way I read it, he's one of the highest paid actors in Bollywood. He's one of the
and Bollywood's more what is bigger than Hollywood almost.
Really, I mean, if you're looking at and people working into it to a certain extent, yeah, it is. I mean, I think Hollywood has a broader possible audience within the globe, but Bollywood inside itself, I think India, numbers wise, is huge, and there's still people obviously in America and other countries that do.
It's even to this point, and it
might be budget issues, variation too.
Sort of on topic. It's kind of a little bit off. Recently in wrestling, there was an Indian wrestler who just re-debuted. Like, he used to wrestle for him for a while, got fired, and then came back. And they just signed a new deal with India for the WWE Network and then WWE Shop India.
It's one of the fastest growing economies currently.
But they did. But when they did that, what they immediately did, because he's only been back for maybe
brought him into
less than a year, he's now the number one contender for the championship.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
that's what they're saying. It's because they just did this. I'm like, that's cool. Yeah, that's a smart idea.
And you got.
He won't win it, but I mean,
got a very large population base. So I mean, if you're getting all those people tuned in, that's going to be very, very.
But yeah, it's the same thing though. It's like,
so yeah, I mean,
India's a huge culture with willing to pour money into movies and anything. So
yeah, entertainment. If you want to do arts, bring it in.
Which so in that sense, he'd be a great idea.
Yeah, and
personally, I wouldn't pick him.
And like I said, physically, I think he fits the role now. I don't, and like I said, I haven't seen his acting. But I heard he's a dramatic actor. So yeah, I mean, we might have to
check him
throw in a Bollywood film here soon and
just to see what
check out the guy and just see.
Because that's another thing. Because I would hate to say, yeah, totally, he should do it just based off of looks, but like
just based
solely off of looks. Yeah, he'd look good. I wouldn't hire him just because I wouldn't. I haven't seen him do anything. Yeah. If I were to pick anybody, what culture picked. They did a list of people who could take over for Hugh Jackman. Which good luck to whoever does, because fuck, that's gonna be rough. Yeah. But they picked a guy who played on Moonlight recently. It's a new won Best Picture. Well, La La Land won Best Picture, and then Moonlight did. But in any case, this actor, he's a black actor, and that's what they said. It would be cool just because, for one reason, he's intense in the role. He doesn't look the part, but he's kind of a big guy. But they said it'd be cool because if you want to really separate Hugh Jackman, separate for you hire a completely different race.
Yeah,
then you can't really compare the two.
Well, it'll be compared.
Yeah, it's anybody who's taken over after that. It's gonna be like, well, you're no Hugh Jackman.
And in many ways, I'm sure we'll have to listen to another backlash of other.
Like, oh my God, no!
Yeah,
Wolverine's white.
Have you? Yeah. Not to mention, at one point in the canon, he wasn't even a mutant human. he was a totally different subspecies. But
huge different bag, man. It's just like he's got such a confusing backstory.
Let's go into convergent evolution. All right, so what happens is two species of different geniuses. We've got an insect that has wings, but birds also grow wings as another evolutionary trait that benefits both of them. So Wolverine, being of the lupine variety of a wolf, evolved to look like man because those features are useful.
But which continuity is that in?
It was
because let's say Marvel has several different ones.
They've changed it since then.
Yeah, I think I'm sure
it was back.
Well, I know he would.
It was part of it. His son Dakin was stole by Romulus, the original founder. Well, Romulus and Remus, the original founders of Rome. So he was supposedly back to the original founding of Rome. So back in that day, but and it was stating, I believe, that Sabretooth was also, as well as a few other, were also members of that line of evolution.
Yeah.
but they weren't technically mutants.
But they,
but then they've revamped that.
Yeah, I do remember him saying something like, whenever he lost his, what was it? When he lost his adamantium at one point, it turned him feral.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple times he goes back into the Canadian wilderness, specifically with the Blackfoot Native American tribes, to Native Canadian. It's still the Americas.
Yeah. Native Canadian. I'm using that forever.
Grandma was Blackfoot. Blackfoot in German. But yeah, I'd go back into that area, and he would try to get back some of his wild nature and get in touch with, especially when he had emotional human problems that he had to deal with. He was like, fuck this, I'm gonna go
feelings suck,
I'm gonna go curl up in a tree, which we see in X-Men
in the Wolverine.
At the Wolverine, yeah, he's kind of hiding away
in the woods, and that was a really cool callback, because that's not a usually a trait that you see too much in the comics anymore.
I mean, it's something that Sabretooth generally does. They say is, his power is this level, but if he goes into a feral state, it's 10 times what it is. But yeah, Wolverine supposedly has that same potential of just going crazy and just being wild-like, animal-like in nature.
But yeah, speaking of X-Men, though, they did finally announce, because the code name of for a while of the new X-Men movie was Supernova.
Yeah,
and for a hot second, Teen Spirit. And I was like,
they're doing deodorant commercials now?
I was so fucking excited. I was like, I hope they call the movie that so I can just make fun of it forever. But they did finally announce.
Supernova is pretty explicit if you actually guess who that. Unless they're doing Nova, which that doesn't happen because it's not X-Men.
He's not part of that universe. But it's going to be called Dark Phoenix. Yeah. And it's going to be coming out November 2nd, 2018.
Which,
is it too soon?
Yes.
I mean, because they just reintroduced Jean Grey.
Yeah, and we see a little hint of it in Apocalypse when she's going against Apocalypse.
Which was in a movie that was pretty subpar, was
a good scene.
A really cool scene. Visually cool.
But for so many X-Men fans, the Dark Phoenix saga, and just even the Phoenix Force itself, and how it's shaped the X-Men storyline in so many ways, being jumped into several different people, and Cyclops and Jean Grey's children and things of that nature. I see why they want to do it, because it is such an important title, and
it will bring in a lot of audiences.
But I think a bit of an issue that they're talking about doing one film, which is an issue to get the storyline.
They could do Dark Phoenix, and then it wasn't really a sequel, but like towards the end of it, like they could make the second movie that's based off the, what was it, her fuck, I don't know. She became just Phoenix. She wasn't Dark Phoenix. Yeah. She was Phoenix.
Yeah, I mean, they could jump around with severals, but I really doubt they plan on doing it. Just like the Age of Apocalypse was one film, even though that was a lot more story to that.
Man, there was a lot wrong with that movie.
and really, I think what I feel lacks in a lot of these films is what they really got right with the Bryan Singer original trilogy, which
duology.
Yeah, and duology. I guess he didn't do
some fucking asshole.
One of the really great things about that initial one is them really focus on the cultural impact with humans and the mutants, and the changes. Obviously the homosexual referencing, and the just coming of age to being a man or an adult, because a lot of them switch over during their teen years. So dealing with a lot of that, plus throwing in fucking superpowers. Souping powers? I can make the best soup ever. Well, bam! Enjoy it.
Tomato
bisque, motherfucker. In your eyes. We've defeated Magneto. But yeah, going back to that, I mean, that was something that was really great about those first films, because you really get to enjoy and learn about these characters a lot more. I mean, in some ways they kind of like Age of Apocalypse, they go on a little like music shopping spree, and they barely talk. They didn't even really introduce Jubilee at all or what her potential was.
She was just there.
She was just hanging out. Just, hey, fan nod. Bloop.
Yeah, even though they made it clear
out like she was a main character, in
but
the
she
story.
Wasn't at all.
And I mean, you get a little bit of cool stuff with Storm in that.
But even
film.
then, she doesn't fucking talk in the movie.
But what really was enjoyable about it was like watching Wolverine go through his shit, watching the love triangle between Cyclops, Jean, and him, or seeing Iceman. I can't think. Bobby Drake. And Rogue dealing with the fact she can't touch anyone or can't have a relationship.
It had such a good story.
Those were what made those movies good.
It's called character development.
Yeah,
they don't do it anymore.
And
well, they did it, and again, it's whenever Bryan Singer took back over.
Yeah.
They did in Days of Future Past really well. Even
First
Class was fine,
bad.
but he didn't. It was Matt Reeves, I think, if I remember correctly, did
watching
that one.
Watching Magneto do some Nazi killing and things, and
pretty awesome.
The conversations between him and
Professor
X on why they were wanting to take the courses they do, and that's one of my favorite storylines. Is really Magneto and Professor X discussing. All right, they're gonna hate us. Do we respond with hate and try to push them down, or should we integrate with them and try to work things out? And that conversation between them two is an enjoyable one to watch on screen, even though it's not explosions. And I think with the Dark Phoenix saga, you're going to get a lot of FX and a lot of just bright blast.
We're not going to get a lot of character development.
We're not going to get the character development that really makes those
they could have
movies.
moved us wrong. They could do it.
I would love to.
If they could make a good 2 hour, I'd even argue a 2.5 hour movie for Dark Phoenix.
I would like them to cut it shorter. I want to see what you can do in an hour and 15 minutes. If I can watch,
hour and 15 minutes.
If I can watch a episode of Flash, for instance, that's 40 minutes.
You're right. Yeah.
And it make me feel something about those characters. Why can't they do it on screen in the big screen?
There's also
I want to put some chains on them.
But there's also the idea that you have 22 hours to make you feel something about them characters.
Yes, but I'm saying if I can watch the first episode.
Honestly, by the first episode of The Flash, I was connected to all those characters.
Exactly. You can see the way those characters act and how they make. So I mean, especially if they're going to do a trilogy or something to that extent,
just slow roll.
Put some regulations on it. Let's see what you can do with some challenges.
Well, Deadpool did it in an hour and a half.
Lower budget. An hour and a half. They focused on jokes and clever interplay. You feel for him when he's going through his cancer issue, and that his girlfriend's sitting there holding him and knows he's gonna die, and those situations. Even though it was it had its good absurdist things.
Absolutely, yeah.
It still made you feel for those characters, and they did it on a lower budget. They did it with, I'm sure, less crew.
Yeah. And
they made a really great movie that made them a shit ton in return. Which And recently I was reading about. Especially, it was specifically in video gaming, but the middle market is gone, and it applies the same way to films, and that's why so many big directors are going indie in a lot of filmmaking. You basically can go indie and do low budget and make a story yourself, or you can go, $10 million or $100 million budget and make something that the producers pull every single string because they've got that much money invested in it, and them taking risk on movies that have a decent budget, that are an interesting story, where we got some actual diversity in our films, is just gone. And it is the same way they were talking about recently with video gaming. You either can do a game that has to sell 5 million copies to break even, or you can do an indie game you throw out there with bad graphics and
it's fun. It has a good story.
But it has a good story. But that's the only way you can do it. And to get something that has good, high grade motion capture and things of that nature, but is something different, is very rare. They only want to do a sequel and things of that nature.
And see, a lot of people think that it's easy to do a movie that big.
Yeah.
And make money back. And it's not poking fun, not to bring anybody else down, but look at the DC universe so far.
Yeah,
it's not easy.
Yeah, and I mean,
just they throw shit tons of money at these movies, and they're still barely breaking.
And I'm gonna keep pushing. I'm gonna get a thing to send to Affleck or something because I really want to see lower budget Batman detective story.
Totally,
no explosions.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, maybe they'll get
do a horror detective story.
I was kind of hoping they get the guy that did Deadpool, the first Deadpool movie, because since he's not doing Deadpool 2, I was like, maybe he'll do the Batman. And they got Matt Reeves, which is cool. I mean, I'm not saying anything against him because I think he's awesome. He's a good choice. He's not Snyder.
And
there was a risk. There was a petition online to get him to do fucking the Batman. I'm like, you motherfuckers.
I mean, I can understand their point of view of wanting to keep the visuals consistent. It's something that Marvel was.
But I don't. Nobody else does.
But one of the things, like Marvel does it with different directors, but still keeps a visual synchronicity even between that and almost the TV series or the Netflix series. Sorry, but one thing that. Snyder does some things good.
He does. He really does. But doesn't make movies good.
But he does not have great dialogue. That's why something like Sucker Punch works for him. Visuals, beautiful.
It's a visually stunning movie.
Beautiful. And he does visual storytelling very, very well. Things like Guardians of the Ghoul, things of that nature.
People always point to Watchmen, but I'm like, yeah, but that was already written for him. He did such a close, direct adaptation. He didn't have to do a whole mess of work for it.
But his dialogue work is not great. He's not great at really doing that kind of setup. Throw Kevin Smith for dialogue.
That's what I've always said. Let him write the dialogue in the story.
Or Tarantino. Tarantino does some great.
I wish Ben Affleck was still directing it, just because that dude is a solid director. He's a great writer. You have it all with him, but he had to go and be a fucking alcoholic. And
I watched some pretty interesting things just talking about Snyder's just visual story. They were talking about just between Marvel. I think I might have sent you this a thing talking about Marvel Universe, how it'll show something as opposed to how something in Batman v Superman, how it's shown. And they were talking about film school wise, the way he shoots a lot of things. He does visual storytelling in a very great way, but the rest of it's just not good.
If you want to, but you don't. Again, Marvel does it without having the same directors each time, so there's no need to keep Zack Snyder because I'll be honest with you, I really hope Justice League is good, but I hope it fails so that way they can kick him out. Just because it's so they're like, okay, you just can't fucking do it anymore. And they let him go. I mean, maybe Joss Whedon's gonna kick fucking ass as Batgirl, which
that would be wonderful.
Which, let's face it, he's gonna kick ass doing Batgirl. Yeah. So maybe they'll let him kind of run the.
And it'd be good. I mean, and
he won't let Snyder anywhere near it. He'll be like, no.
And two, I think it'll be good because Whedon, I think, we've seen with like Buffy and things like that. He can do a female superhero heroine. What are you talking about?
Nikki Sixx.
No. I love a line from what's his name?
Nick Swartzen.
Nikki Sixx drank heroin from a fire hose.
I am such a pussy.
I am a lightweight. But Heroin Diaries, beautiful album. 6 a.m.
It is a great album.
Not enough love for that.
It does not get enough love. I love that album. I love that book. I love the album.
I haven't read the book. I listened to the album.
Haunting.
It's great. But just musically, I enjoyed the album.
It's a fantastic album.
Throw that out there for some Nikki Sixx love for no reason.
Much love, Nikki Sixx. Much love.
But yeah. Where was I going? They were talking about. I was reading another thing. I was talking about how DC has done some things that Marvel is still kind of getting off, but their films kind of still suck, even though they're trying. Like they've got a female lead.
Hopefully that doesn't suck.
Yeah, which I haven't heard great things.
I've heard. The worst thing I've heard though from it is that Chris Pine is the best part of it. I'm like, if that's the,
they said that would be great if he played Wonder Woman.
I'm like, but if that's the worst complaint they can come up with, that one of the actors is too good in it.
But if
that's the least worst complaint I've heard from any DC movie.
And it's like too, they're doing it as a backstory. In was it World War I?
Yeah,
timeline, which we see how much people reference Captain America: The First Avenger as a great Marvel film. That's why I'm saying I'm being sarcastic here. I don't know if you were catching that. Sorry, there wasn't enough. I didn't put the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable.
What a terrible movie that was.
But most people don't really pick that out as the best one. So I mean, when you're doing a period piece like that, I don't know that it's gonna really click with people as well as we would want it to.
No, because usually when you do a period piece, people are going to see like a drama
or a historical accuracy and things like that,
not a superhero movie. So that's why a lot of people were confused when they did. I'm like, I wasn't really confused. I understand what they're doing.
I mean, I would have loved to see her more with issues in Themyscira or something like that. Do a Greek time period. Don't do World War I,
at the end of the movie, have her head towards America. And you can do that.
Don't laugh. I'm sipping on
gin and juice.
Am I? Did you put something in my coffee?
Put something in there. Just call me Bill Cosby. Enjoy your night.
Got frap in my stash.
Speaking of superheroes, really.
What's the thing we've been talking about an hour and a half now?
Yeah.
Speaking of this thing,
speaking of all this nonsense that we were talking about, if you could choose any power from any universe,
okay,
what would you choose?
Are we doing some genie rules? You can't wish for more wishes here. You can't have one power
set of power from one universe.
Set of power, and is it from a existing character, or is it just something I can create myself? Which
I mean, nothing you really.
Do I need to say I could have Cyclops' power, or do I want blaster vision? Something like that.
Well, yeah, I guess. I mean, you could say Cyclops to make it easier.
Huh. Well, do you have an answer for this?
I do actually.
Okay, well, let's hear yours while I mull it over.
I'd be a Jedi.
A Jedi. Now. See, this is kind of where I'm going, because Jedi, in and of itself...
Okay, I'd wield the Force.
Okay, but of what level? Because, I mean, you could say you're a Jedi, but someone Vader-wise could just catch you down, so...
Master, then.
What level of skill?
Okay, I'd be a Jedi Master.
All right, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. I was going to say, you want to be like, I can feel the Force, but I'm just going to sit here and meditate.
What a lame fucking power. I'm like, I don't want to have the power. I just want to
the Force is with me.
I want to be that bastard.
Are you Force sensitive, or are you
But yeah, no, totally, I'd be like the Jedi Master.
Yeah, Jedi councils.
Honestly, let's be realistic. I'd be a Sith Master, because I already know if whatever powers I have are not going to the good.
Well, it's that whole argument of, are you going to suppress all your emotions, or are you going to be passionate, overly passionate? You're going to probably be overly passionate.
I'm really passionate about my shit.
Yeah. So, fuck you and everyone you love.
Shoving everybody out my way.
Yeah, just
without touching them.
Sorry, I just had a really funny visual in my head come up, like a Sith Lord coming up to a door that's automated and opens, even though he went to open it himself, and then he just like crushes everything because it's just like he goes to do it and it just like makes a fool out of him, like ding. Anyways, and he just fuck it and smashes the whole wall. Like, bunch of windows shattering.
Can a Wookiee be a Jedi?
Well, it kind of implies that almost any sentient being could have been.
But there's not really been a known Wookiee as a Jedi. I don't know why that just hit me.
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
But
that sounds like
there's a lot of expanded universe to mull over. But yeah, not that I'm aware of.
Plus, that'd be a really boring book.
And there's also plenty of Dark Force users that are not Sith necessarily. Sith in itself is basically a religion within the Dark Force users.
Well, because technically Kylo is not a Sith; he's a Knight of Ren.
Yeah, he's a Knight of Ren. He's someone who uses.
So they're not following the normal Sith rule, the rule of two. Yeah, they're just dark side users.
Yeah, because I mean, initially Darth Maul was from Dathomir. Oh, I'm pulling that out.
Look at that.
He's a Dathomirian, but they're on a planet where there's plenty of female. They use the Dark Force for witchcraft and magic usage, but they aren't Sith. And the original Sith or Sithari were the actual, or actually, I think that's the chosen Sith is Sithari. But the Sith was a planet unto themselves that used somewhat dark force powers, and the Jedi broke off between some of the dark force users and the light force users because they were initially more of a intermingling of them using force powers, and they were left on the Sith planet originally as exiles. And then they interbred with the Sith, and they both kind of mold the Sith religion out of that concept. So, yeah, but it became a faith setup. And I think that's one of the reasons where they're going with The Last Jedi is it's no longer the Jedi. He realizes that the suppression of all emotion isn't right, and the expression of every emotion is not right, that it does need to be a balance of that force, a gray Jedi, if you will.
Yeah.
Which I mean, even if you wills
whoa, yeah, they even I guess something opens up that's canon with a poem from the Book of the Wills, which has to do about basically saying that gray is the way.
Yeah, it gives also from that end of the Empire. I keep saying end of the Empire's end.
The end of the Empire.
Yeah, I want to throw out end of Empire. It makes the line that Obi-Wan says later on. I'm trying to think. As what I said was true from another point of view is a part of the poem in that Empire's End that the Jedi phrase go through. So basically, he was throwing out an old poem line, going like, "Hey, alternative facts. It's the way of the future."
As we found out,
or past.
Yeah,
long time ago, far away.
Yeah. On to... what were you going to say? I'm sorry.
Throwing out my powers here.
Oh,
man.
Yeah, fuck, I forgot.
Just going to jump past. I was going to weasel out of that
We got way off topic there for a second. Like,
well, you said Jedi, and we got back to the first.
Back to the Jedi.
It's like circle.
It's a circle of life.
Circle. All right. If I could have any power from any universe...
Goku.
No. I wasn't gonna. It's like we'll do biblical God. No, I win.
Just a real asshole.
Yeah. Actually, I've been reading some cool stuff with Zervanism, but we don't need to go into all of it.
That's a different episode.
Theology episode part.
The theology edition.
Yeah, good old Ahriman. Angrimayu. Ormazd and Zervan.
What the fuck are your powers, man?
I can create peacocks for all the two of you that get that joke, if there are those two out there listening. I kind of want to go into it now just because I wrote it, but no, go. Let's see. No one knows what I'm talking about.
What the fuck are you talking? What are you talking about peacocks for?
Okay, because I joked about Zervanism.
Yeah. All
right. In that, it's a dual religion or duality. There's Ormazd, who's god of wisdom and light, a child of Zervan. Zervan's other son, or also it's actually a shadow version of himself, so technically as powerful as him, but they refer to it as a son, is Ahriman, who chooses to be an agent of chaos and evil, but he kind of picks it as like, yeah, I'm going to do this. This is the better way, because if there's only peace and order, everything is stagnant, nothing will grow or change or grow better. So he fucks shit up in a positive way. But they ask him, like, why aren't you good? Why are you trying to do all this? And he's like, it's not. And one of the lines from him is that basically it's not that I can't create good or do good in the world. I choose not to. And to prove his point, he creates a peacock as a beautiful animal, and then it's like, see? And then just keeps going on to fuck up shit, basically. So, interesting character to read about.
Okay, I want that power.
I create, as I said, the two people that might get that joke. I create peacocks. But yeah. See your peacock. I could go with some Goku funds. That could be interesting, but I'm gonna limit myself here and go with, I don't know, like because there's ones that I find interesting, but whether or not it fits me personally. Like, when you think of the Flash, for instance, you think of a lean runner-looking fella.
Right.
Even though, technically, any heavyset fucker could have gotten that power.
Which would have made what in the show way more interesting.
But it's like, what?
I could have really seen myself in that guy. Like, look at that fat fucker
Superman's
run.
race could look like a just fat slob in
Could
our
look like the
universe.
fucking humans from Wall-E.
Yeah. There's no real limit. I mean, he can fly. What does he need to?
He doesn't need to look good.
It's all mental prowess, anyways, right?
So you're saying like the Blob? You want to have the Blob's power? Is that?
I'm not gonna go Blob. Yeah, I don't know. Let's go some. Let's make this fun. Ra's al Ghul. I'll get some ninja skills. A ninja army.
So you're talking about you want to have like the training of Ra's, or
particularly the Lazarus Pit as well as his training. Yes,
okay. That's what I was gonna say.
And in essence, his army.
His army. Okay.
The tools at his hand.
So you're saying I would still kick your ass?
Yeah, but I'll come back and then I'll blow up your fucking temple. When you're not looking next time.
Go ahead. We'll talk about this last one here. We talked about Star Wars way more than I thought we were going to, and Logan.
Yeah. I'm just regretting my Ra's al Ghul decision, but it's cool. Like I went that route. We'll go with it. I don't know. There's not a good answer. Because
the Flash would be cool, but like again, you're right. I understand what you mean. Like I don't see myself running that fast.
Yeah, it's like. I just don't really have that body build.
If I save somebody, like, oh, aren't you a little fat to be a superhero? I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah. Zoop. Yeah.
Here's your fucking heart.
Yeah. It's like, where do you want to go with this? Yeah. Well, actually, I could go for some. Let's see. Noob Saibot. I've always enjoyed him from.
There you go.
But not under Quan Chi's will.
That's a deep cut right there.
I would go there, man.
That's not many people would go that route.
Because
even if they went Mortal Kombat Universe, they would automatically go. I would imagine Raiden or Shao Kahn.
Yeah, Raiden's obviously wonderful. Shao Kahn's pretty cool, but he was the original Sub-Zero.
Yep.
Gets killed by Scorpion to avenge him killing Scorpion's family.
Yep.
Gets controlled by Quan Chi and given powers, but. Him void from Quan Chi would be really cool just because I like his ability to create duplicate shadows and things of that nature, and
he's a pretty solid character.
He's probably one of my favorites to play as, honestly. I was kind of bummed he was not in Mortal Kombat X.
He's also a character that not many people remember that well.
Yeah, and the fun thing, is about his name, don't you?
Yeah, it's
Ed Boon and John Tobias.
Yeah,
backwards.
Which is, I mean, it was character was created as just like a goofy Easter eggy character, and
most of them were initially
created as
edited costumes for each color.
Yeah, Reptile was just the green version of Scorpion and Sub-Zero.
Some cool story. In
Ermac, I think, was the purple version. Or no, that was Rain.
Rain is
purple. Ermac was red.
Rain.
There it is.
Yeah. Prince, we missed you yesterday. It was his anniversary of his death. Yeah.
God damn it! I'm still sad. Like I listened to the episode of Hollywood Babylon where Kevin Smith talked about Alan Rickman. Mm-hmm. That's the most heartbreaking comedy show I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah. And Charlie Murphy here recently too.
Yeah, I don't really give a shit.
No, I know, but it brings ideas of Prince, so I tied them together.
It is still sad though, because he was a funny guy.
Yeah. Well, Eddie Murphy kind of talks about him as one of the guys who threw him up on stage and was like, "Go get that money, man. You can go do some impressions and make the money."
Did you see? I posted on Facebook after Indiana Comic Con that I made Joey get up and do stand-up comedy.
Yes, I did see that.
I just not thought about that.
And you guys go check it out if you get a chance.
You should. He's actually really funny. I don't want to say actually because like it's not like
surprising to you.
I've always known he was funny, but I was afraid he was going to be nervous. Yeah. Because throughout the entire, it almost. And we both talked about this, like it almost brought down the entire day just because we were both trying to help like shape his act.
Yeah.
That we had a solid act, and that's throughout the entire day. That's what we did.
Yeah.
So we didn't really get to focus on a whole lot.
So he was prepped before stepping up on stage.
That's what we really spent most of the day doing.
Because I was like, that's impressive that he already had one planned.
Yeah, he's been writing stand-up comedy routines for a while.
Talked about some stuff
and he wanted to go to Crackers and do open mic night, and then they came up with this, and I was like, why don't you do it? And he is like, no. I said, no, go up there and do stand-up comedy. He's like, I don't know. And then we went up to the thing to start to ask about signing up. And I was like, I swear, you need to fucking do it, or I'm going to come back here and sign you up. And he's like, all right, yeah. So he went and signed up, and that's what we did throughout the day. And he was nervous the entire time, but goddamn, he fucking killed. He really did. He was like, whenever he came up, he's like, it didn't sound like I was laughing. I said, people were laughing, dude. I said, they thought you were funny. And he's like, it didn't sound like it up there.
That's good, though, man.
I was really, really proud of him. It was cool.
I've been talking with I've been wanting to go up and do something. I was actually in choir back in the day. Some sing and dance, man.
I was a band, so it's not really.
But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed, and I was in some plays and things like that. It's cool, and enjoyed doing that kind of stuff. And it's been a long time since I've been on a stage type setup, and it'd be fun to like even go do like a local play or something like that.
See, I've kind of wanted to do it because I not like I want to be an actor, but like I'm going to work on my own movies.
It'd be a fun experience, yeah, and you get an idea, of how to
perform
people and how to get out there and.
But I also have like crippling stage fright.
Oh, I got you.
Like real bad.
Even me going up there with a group of people, like and you're probably the same way. When you want people's approval, it's fucking, you're looking at every default you've got.
Yep.
And it's like, oh fuck, I'm nauseous. Oh, fuck.
Well, I remember
like even going up in front of people like in class, sometimes it's just like, like, I want these people to like me. I want to do a great job to the point where, you're stuck in your head so much that you can't be your natural self you would be in front of like one person that you're buddy with.
Right. Yeah. When I was in junior high, I was a junior in high school. I had to give a speech. Instantly, like as soon as I stepped up there, it was like fucking somebody threw sand in my mouth. Yeah. Couldn't talk. Couldn't barely breathe. I was shaking. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with me? And then I was like, and I got through it, and then by the end of it, I was like, all right, and just shaking real bad.
You can't see us behind this microphone.
In the middle of the speech, I was like, can I get a drink of water? And they're like, yeah, sure. And then I forgot about it until I had to actually officiate a wedding in South Carolina. And I was like, I got up there, like, oh fuck, I forgot about this. That one turned out a little better. I didn't get all like piss shaky and whatnot. But yeah, I could in 1,000 years couldn't do what Joey did, just because it'd be just petrifying to me.
One of my my mom is like first grade. We did a play, and I was maybe it's third grade. I was the narrator for all that and stuff. For the whole play, so I was the guy talking throughout most of it. And one of the things my mom always jokes about is everyone walked off stage, and we were supposed to give a bow afterwards. And I stood up there by myself, did the bow because everyone else forgot, and then I walked back. And so it was just me, like, yeah, you're welcome.
You're welcome for this.
A short one. One of my favorite speeches I've done in front of a class was in college. We had to pick between 3 topics that were handed to us. I couldn't decide really which one I wanted to go with. So I did like a one-liner for each topic instead of giving like a full thing. I think it was, the first one was "You are what you eat," and I said, "I'm not pizza." The second one was "Fun date ideas," and I said, what was it? Basically, Jello and something else, like Jello in a bathtub. And I just went on to the third one and was reality TV shows, and I was like, I hate watching other people live their life. I'd rather go do my own shit. And then I just went and sat back down, and that was
the end.
You're welcome.
I did have a speech. My it's my second speech I gave. My English teacher, love her to death. Her name was Jamel. Her name's Lindsay now, but she was wonderful. She talked me into doing the speech, which was about my religious beliefs or lack thereof. I wrote the paper.
Ooh, piece of candy.
So I wrote the paper, and she read it. She's like, I think you really need to read this out loud. I said, are you out of your fucking mind? We had one of those like relationships where she was real fucking cool with me and didn't really give a shit what I said. Unless I was in class. That was a different story.
Yeah.
But
for other people, she's got to get on.
Yeah, she got to be on. But I was like, are you out of your fucking mind? No, I'm not reading this out. And she's like, no, it'll be fine. I was like, no. It will not be fine because Morristown is a super Christian town.
Yeah.
And so I was like, they're not going to understand, and I'm going to get my ass kicked. And she's like, no, you won't. I said, all right. I said, I'll read it. I said, but if I get my ass kicked, it's your fault, not mine.
I'm putting this on you. Put this evil on you.
I read it, and she's like, I only suggestion I have is you open it with asking them how many of them have ever questioned their faith. I was like, okay.
Let's join this.
Let's do this. So I get up there, and I'm like, how many of you have ever questioned your faith? She raised her hand. I promise you, everybody else in class crossed their arms and leaned back in their chairs.
What the fuck are you talking about?
And I was like, this is going to be a good time.
Evil.
I think that's kind of fueled the stage fright because nobody was accepting.
I'll have to give you about a recent conversation with some coworkers on some creationist ideas that were fun to talk about. One of the guys was actually went to Bible college and dropped out, so he was pretty impressed with my because I was like, no, it wasn't John, it was John of Patmos, the Greek island, and he's like, well,
how about that?
He goes, how you know? A reader, aren't you? And I said, yes I am. So we got into all that good stuff. But that was some fun conversations to go into.
But speaking of imaginary characters, the Genie is
if you could wish for any superpower, you would have to go through the Genie in Aladdin.
But so they're doing a live action Aladdin movie, as it seems to be the most popular thing.
Disney is out of ideas,
so they're just remaking all their cartoons. Which, to be fair, Jungle Book was pretty incredible. I'm sure Lion King is going to be awesome.
I heard Beauty and the Beast made them a good amount of money.
Yeah, I'm not really super excited to see it.
They there was a recent article talking about them kind of doing this not too long ago, and then everyone kind of stopped giving them money because none of their Five Goes West, the artist for that, what's his name? You know what I'm talking about. Did a lot of those.
I can't remember his name.
I had to throw that on you. But a lot of those were gaining popularity as opposed to Misty will kill me for not knowing that, by the way.
Yeah. She won't know till Friday.
It's something with a B. I know that much. That's as far as I got, though. Google. But anyways,
hello, Google.
They were losing some money to his works. And then the renaissance of
the new renaissance
the Disney setup happened. So they were talking about a lot of we're ready for them to keep doing that until it blows up, so we can get some new creative ideas.
Right.
Which would be good. I just keep wanting to say Mel Blanc because of the voice, but that's the voice of Looney Tunes.
It's not. He come up with Dom DeLuise. No, that's right.
Yeah. Secret of Nim. Five Goes.
I don't see his fucking name on here, man. Don Bluth?
Don Bluth.
That's
cartoons. Thank you. I knew it.
God, yeah, shit. That was gonna kill me.
Bluth. Don Bluth was making a lot of. They were making a lot of money off his art style and things like that, and then they created the new after they were kind of running out of steam there for a while. So yeah, it'd be good to see
them return back to it,
fall down and burn.
But I'm not
interested really in Aladdin being done in
I've never really Aladdin is a great story, really well animated. Yeah, I'm not super into it that much.
One of my favorites as a kid.
Really.
I really enjoyed it, but yeah, I don't really see it
working live action.
I don't really have any interest in seeing it in live action.
Yeah, because as soon as they do live action, there's gonna be there's a lot of people are gonna be crying racist.
Yeah, well, if they don't do any Middle Eastern characters.
Yeah, but even if they do Middle Eastern characters, people are gonna say they're gonna portray them race.
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean. But you did have Robin Williams in his nice street vendor voice in the beginning of the original anime.
But they're talking about who's going to play the Genie now, and the person that they're supposedly in talks with Will Smith.
Yeah, which
is baffling.
Yeah, it's an odd choice, but I mean, Genie is a good-willed character. Goodwill. Will Smith. It's the puns today, but yeah, Will Smith is a really he's someone that we can look at and kind of we know him as being a warm-hearted type character in a lot of things he portrays. So he could have some genuine heart to the character, but in the original series, Genie was so much of the comic relief, and I don't really see him. Which I mean, you can't do obviously a Robin Williams impressionist.
He's not an absurdist.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Is that Robin Williams was absurd as the character. Yeah. Will Smith is funny in a different way. He's kind of in a snarky, snarky way.
Yeah, snarky works.
That's basically what he's known when he does his comedy. That's what his comedy style is. You need somebody who's, and I'm not saying because you don't want to. Maybe that's what they're going for. Maybe they want to go as far away from Robert Williams as possible.
If they do a somewhat semi-serious tone to a live action, because there is a certain level that you don't necessarily. It's not as easy to portray in live action. That too much silliness without losing any merit in drama that is in the characters, and so I could see that being used, but still. I would almost still recommend someone else giving some of those, like... Who would you choose? I don't see him as a fast-quipped guy.
No, not even...
I would still like to see someone who's just... I've been around for,
it would have
millennia.
It would have to be a stand-up comic, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to see someone who's either a stand-up comic or at least Ryan Reynolds-esque... character who can just be like, oh, you said this, here's my line, just making
who would be really good if he was still alive?
Who's that?
George Clooney.
George
Clooney? Sorry, buddy. George Carlin.
If he was still alive. Oh, what happened to George?
He did Tomorrowland. George Carlin, though, I think...
Yeah, that would have been a good one. That would have been interesting to see. And two, we see Genie as not necessarily really like... he's outside of the culture in a lot of ways, and you're not gonna have George Carlin really be like making references to either the Muslim culture necessarily, or like he would be an outsider making fun of the situations going on as they occur.
Yeah, not the culture, not the maybe a little bit of the
maybe a little bit of culture, but not in a negative way. If it's animated,
I'm trying to think of somebody off the top of my head that could pull it off.
The thing that keeps popping in my head, which I would not necessarily.
But you're right, like Ryan Reynolds would be good.
Yeah. But like someone just recently let me see a Bo Burnham Vine, so he keeps popping in my head. But I wouldn't necessarily choose him by no means.
That would be interesting, though, right?
Possibly, yeah.
That would be. I mean, I'm kind of now I'm curious about that one.
But he had a lot of puns, so it kind of pops in my head. But I don't know.
Seth MacFarlane.
Yeah, Seth MacFarlane could be a good one. I mean,
as long as he doesn't do the fucking Peter voice anymore.
Yeah. That's or just even his crooner tone.
That's all you've really got to do, but because he's real quick.
He's good with voiceover. He's done that kind of work. Even just getting a good like animated voice actor.
Robert Downey Jr.
Because he's quick with those jokes, but I wouldn't.
But he's too recognizable. His voice, his mannerisms. And everything.
Saying like a common voice. You get someone who like Billy West or
even Troy Baker. Somebody
who's done voiceover work and it has a recognizable ability to actually portray a character that's different than themselves.
Yeah, maybe that's what they do. Maybe instead of getting somebody like an actor to do it or something like that, they just get a voice actor,
a good, well-known voice actor.
Yeah.
I mean, even get
you wouldn't even have to just. I mean, make sure you get a good one. They could do. I guess again, Seth MacFarlane would work for that because he's also that's what he's
actor
really
and voice actor. Billy West
could
do something like
they
that.
They could also do the South Park guys, the Trey Parker, Matt Stone.
Trey and Matt could, but I don't know how well they'd want to associate themselves with. I mean, I wouldn't see.
I think Trey Parker would probably do better than Matt Stone would.
I don't know. I mean.
But in any case, you're right. Like a good voice actor would be.
I think that would be the most.
Kevin Conroy.
I am the genie.
I am the genie.
And the knight.
And the knight.
You can't run from justice, Jafar.
You're awful fucking severe, Genie. I saw my parents die.
Phantasmal cosmic power. Oh, I got a weird old man shakiness in that last little line there.
But yeah, I mean that's really where I would go with. I agree with you.
I don't think we need an actor in necessarily a motion capture face.
No,
someone recognizable that we know.
Well, that'll come off kind of creepy too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. In a blue cast, be a Watchmen all over again.
You see that blue dick swinging.
Yeah, a blue tail into the. But because I wouldn't, I don't know. I think to a certain extent, we don't want something to seem disingenuous to Robin Williams' character because he's what made that movie in a lot of ways in the original.
He really
he's
is.
What made Genie that character the way he was, with his shape-shifting, with his jokes and lines and the singing he did. So I'm sure they want to somewhat distance it, but you also want to pay respect to why everyone loved that character in the first place.
Exactly.
And have someone maybe even he would have chosen a fellow comedic actor or a stand-up comedian or someone like that.
Yeah.
That could really do it. And I don't see Will Smith as that character.
I really don't. It's nothing against Will Smith. It's just not his thing. It's just...
I think he's the best in his dramatic roles.
Yeah. Which I never thought I'd say, right?
Yeah. He's best in even... I really don't... I really don't love him as Deadshot, by no means. That whole movie I didn't really love, by no means.
Nah.
I mean, it wasn't terrible, but
it wasn't good though.
What bugs me so much about Will Smith was when I watched the special features and he was like joking. He was like talking about how hard it was for him to get in the mindset of someone who would want to kill somebody for money. Like he could not grasp that idea of hurting someone
because he's just too sweet of a guy.
Like
it's adorable. It's
adorable, but it distances so much from anyone. Like I would never hang out with you, man.
I thought he did really well in the role, surprisingly well in the role, just because same thing. I had heard the same thing prior to the movie coming out where he was just like, he's like, I don't get why people would kill for money. I'm like, I would kill for money.
You've never been hard up for money.
You've been pretty okay for your life, haven't you?
Never do anything. Haven't we learned anything?
I would do a lot of terrible things for money, like. But like,
what would you do for a Klondike bar? Terrible things.
Terrible things.
Let alone money. I would do terrible things for a Klondike bar right now.
But like Margot Robbie, she did great as Harley Quinn.
Yep. Yeah, she did good.
I didn't like how much ass they showed, even though it was pretty wonderful.
I mean, yeah, Harley is a great character in that,
and like we have to accept the fact that Harley has become a more sexual character in the comics.
Yeah, but she's always been a bit of a sex symbol my idea.
In her debut, though, she was never meant to be that.
Well, necessarily no, but I mean,
not until really Mad Love, I think
she was a romantic character towards the Joker. So I think. At least I feel that
she was never really
shown as a romantic character, at least to a certain extent.
She was never busting out of her shorts or top or anything like that until later in the comics.
And I don't mind her being a sex symbol, but she never uses that, necessarily in a way that's flaunting. It was just so one-dimensional the way they did it.
Which it did a huge disservice to Margot Robbie because she's a wonderful actress.
But I mean, and they're talking about making more, and she said she really delved into the character, so maybe. We'll get to see more of the psychological
in the Gotham City Sirens
aspect of her, and a lot of because I mean she even does a lot of scheming and planning outside of Joker's works. He saw a lot of just as eye candy in that film, and which I mean there were some parts which was fun, and her teasing and toying with the other guy,
which was she in those parts that's where she really shined. But yeah, it was a lot of like look at that ass, more or less. Honestly, the character I enjoyed the most out of that movie was Boomerang. Which I never thought I'd enjoy a Jai Courtney character in my life because that dude is just.
Diablo was fairly interesting. Because I didn't know much about him, and then going into some of his like, I'm not going to do this. I don't want to be the bad guy anymore.
He was
an interesting character to really watch. Really.
But what was I think proven about this movie, particularly with Jai Courtney, was like if you have a good enough written character, the actor can do really well because everything Jai Courtney has done. Has been like kind of almost like the pretty face action hero, almost, not exactly pretty face. Cause he's not Will Smith handsome, right? You know what I mean? Like, but he's a handsome guy, and usually he's cast as the lead in an action movie where he doesn't really need to be an actor. He's just kind of show up, like in
Schwarzenegger it up, But like, do you have a good presence, and people will run to you in case there's.
But even he was in A Good Day to Die Hard. He was fucking awful in that. God, I hated that movie so much. I fucking hate that movie. I can't get over how much I hate it. And then he was in Terminator Genesis.
Yes.
And he was fine in that movie, but that movie was...
I did not watch either because I expected poor results.
it honestly, it's worth a watch if you can watch it for free. Like, it's on Hulu.
Yeah.
So if you ever get, like, if one day you're like...
I mean, I did watch Kickboxer Vengeance here recently. So,
See, come on, dude.
I guess I could get Terminator.
But, like, if you're sitting there at home and you're just like, we should watch it.
I was impressed with Batista on that, by the way.
He's an impressive actor. I'm surprised.
Because I know he's not really studied Muay Thai as far as I know.
No, he did.
Well, originally before wrestling?
No, not before wrestling. After wrestling.
Well, I was saying I didn't know if he studied it for this particular role.
He might have. I think he studied it during. I'm not sure how intense he got into it, but because he did MMA for a hot minute.
Because good form. Good form.
Really?
I mean, he's obviously slow because he's a big fucking wrestler.
But, huge dude.
But yeah, his form for his knees and elbows.
He actually, prior to doing,
thumbs up.
He wasn't in UFC. He was in Strike Force or one or the other.
I wasn't thrilled with most everyone else.
That movie
it threw a lot of Ung Bak references in it because like Muay Thai got a little bit bigger because of Ung Bak and some of the fight and the choreography and things in those films, that and The Protector with Tony Jaa. And I think they were trying to get a little bit of people's interest by mimicking several of the scenes.
Getting like a little rub from it.
It's in Thailand, and then they're doing some of the motions almost to a T exactly what happens in Ung Bak. Like there's a scene where a dude does splits underneath the thing to slide, and it's the same way he does it in a film, like the way it was shot a little bit. And just when you've seen some of the striking, like an actual how it's supposed to be done, every time like when someone kicks someone in the face and it's just horrible form to where there's no power behind it and the dude just gets blacked out, it's upsetting to me. I'm just like, oh, but I know you can't really kick the guy in the face, but can you make it look like you're putting a little power in?
I was watching today.
You slapped him with your fish foot and expected him to go down.
This will probably be the last point we make. But I was watching, and this is almost embarrassing to admit. I was watching Ready to Rumble today. You ever watch that?
No.
It is the WCW wrestling movie where like David Duchovny. Nope, that's not right. David Arquette.
Okay.
And James Caan's son. Believe wrestling is 100% real.
Oh,
and
yeah.
And it's like they go to save Jimmy the King. At the end, there's like a blooper where like they have like a dream sequence at the beginning of the movie where Jimmy King is fighting Randy Savage. And Randy Savage turned around and gets punched by Jimmy King. In the bloopers, he fucking punches him.
Nails him.
And you see he's like, oh shit, I'm so sorry. Like, but it's like, you just punched Randy Macho Man Savage right in the fucking face.
Oh no! I did not want to snap into that Slim Jim. I don't want him to snap me like a Slim Jim.
Because at that point, he was a big, beefy son of a bitch. So yeah, I think that might do it for this episode. Ran a little long on the lightsaber theory / anything Star Wars,
and the ramblings to every subject possible we can throw in.
Which is the whole point of the show anyway. So, yeah.
Wait, what now? we're being recorded right now.
Huh? So, if you guys want to hit us up at email us for any questions for us, any suggestions on how we should do the show, or what we should talk about, you can hit us up at realwhatweretalkingabout@gmail.com. You can also Gmail. You can also find me on Twitter at TweetyMcTweet11. I don't really get on there very often, so good luck. And I don't think you have a Twitter, do you?
No.
You do have a Twitter, but you don't get on your Twitter.
I don't have a Twitter.
You close it down?
I never had one.
Yes, you did.
No, I have never.
It was the Bound Phoenix.
Nope, never had one. I've had an Instagram and a Facebook.
It was the Instagram I'm thinking of.
Never
I think it's the Instagram I'm thinking of.
Yep, no Twitter. You throw up the Misty signal, you get in touch with my wife. Say, hey, can Joey email me?
Yeah, throw out the Misty signal.
And I'll come running.
You can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/real what were we talking about. So until next time, I'm Jake.
I'm Joseph.
What were we talking about?
What were we talking about?